Hey guys, Martin here. Another We're Still Here. This one is actually pre-recorded, although technically they're all pre-recorded. I film them all before they go up, but this one's being filmed in advance by 2 weeks because I'm taking a trip to Europe. Starting on the 13th of June. We leave on the 13th and we land on the 14th, which is always great when there's a day of flying. I don't think I've talked too much about it, but traveling in general is it doesn't trigger any anxiety for me, but it drives me up the wall. I don't know how much traveling you've done, but I've in the last 5 years done more than I'd ever expected to or hoped to or even can believe that I did at this point, because there was a year when I was flying, it seemed every other week. And it's cool that it happened, and it's cool that I have that opportunity. I don't ever want to give the impression that I'm not grateful for the fact that, I've been able to do things that, I ordinarily would not be able to do because I've been fortunate. That's the long and short of it. But I really find traveling frustrating just on a very basic level, just because you're in between places half the time. You're not where you need to be, and you're not where you came from. You're just hovering, often literally in the air, in a plane, in my case, in a tiny metal can in the sky. And that's stressful on its own, but just the feeling of not being able to get anything done, or not be able to just like get up and leave and go somewhere else. Just the feeling of being nowhere, that's what it feels like to me, the feeling of being nowhere. And that was long before my depression. That has nothing to do with me, being down or, looking at things from a negative perspective, although I guess it is, just not because of depression. I think that's just a part of me. As far as the Europe trip goes, I'm worried about it. I'm very worried about it, and I'm hoping that the closer it gets, I won't get too worried about it to the point that I literally will be not wanting to go. Because at the end of the day, this is something I should want, right? This is something I definitely like. This is something anybody would want. I'm going home. I'm going home, and I'm seeing my family, and I'm seeing my friends. Albeit briefly, and then I'm going to spend 2 weeks in Europe with my wife, who I love, and getting to go somewhere that I've never been. It should be something I'm looking forward to more than anything. But there's a part of me that's really frightened, and it's a small part of me right now. But this is how it always is before a convention. It'll be a small part of me. There'll be a tiny, a voice somewhere amongst my thoughts being like, well, then you have to deal with this, and good luck with that, because I know you can't handle it, which, I listen to too much. I listen to that voice too much. And if you have a voice like that, don't pay it any mind, because that voice isn't you, for one. That isn't coming from you. It's coming from a part of you that isn't being honest with you. It's coming from a part of you that is trying to hurt you and try and take things from you that you deserve, like happiness or just opportunity. And in this case, I can feel my depression trying to tell me that I don't want something that I very definitely do want. I can say that. I can say that with all honesty. I want to go on vacation. I'm actually going to a convention initially, so maybe that's part of why I'm feeling this trepidation, because I don't have any obligations outside of the convention except to see people I care about and have a good time. And I don't know how, but my depression is managing to make that feel like it's going to be an obstacle, or that it's making it feel like that's the problem, that I'm trying to have a good time and I shouldn't be. So I'm looking at Europe as a challenge. I'm looking at Europe as something I need to overcome, and I need to face, and I need to get through and be able to say, this was a good decision, this was a good time, this was good. And it's not going to be easy, I'll be honest. It's not going to be something I can just do. But that's okay, not everything comes naturally. Not everything is second nature. Not everything is human nature. You know, a lot of people talk about human nature and common sense and all that, and it's just like there are some things that not everybody has. There are some things that not everybody can do as easily as everybody else. For me, I can't talk to people as easily as other people can. I'm struggling right now as I explain it. But I also just don't. I like going places where there are people I like. I don't really care about the places themselves. And I know there are people waiting for me in Europe that I know and care about and love me, and I love them. So that's the part I'm looking forward to. But the act of going there and being in, you know, at a public event and being places that are strange, I definitely want to do it, but there's just this part of me that's like, well, what if it's a disaster? What if I break down? What if this just makes things worse? But I can't listen to that. And if I spend my whole life listening to that, to those words, to that voice, then that's who I'll be. You know? You are who you allow yourself to be sometimes. You know, sometimes it's you are who the world makes you, but sometimes you are just who you allow yourself to be. And there are moments in your life where if you fight just a little bit harder, you can avoid becoming the person that depression wants you to be. So I just have to fight a little bit harder. I have to fight a lot harder sometimes. And who knows, this might be one of those times when I'm in a foreign country and I don't really have anyone to reach out to, and maybe I'll have to sit down and record a We're Still Here, I don't know, but there's going to be moments where I want to give in to depression, and I want to just stop, and because it's happened in the past when I've just gone to Disneyland. You know, I've talked about that on We're Still Here. I went to Disneyland, and you know, where else can you have a good time? Well, I had a breakdown. I had a bit of a nervous breakdown, and that's why I have my tattoo, and that's why that's one of the reasons I started doing We're Still Here. So I know it can happen, but I'm not going to just let it happen. You know, because this isn't medicine only fixes so much. You know, and therapy only helps so much. So this is me saying I'm not going to let this happen to me. You know, I'm just going to stand up and face it. I'm going to stand up and face this vacation to Europe that is so upsetting and it's the worst. You know, I sound like a whiny baby, I know, but that's who I am. I'm a bit of a baby. I'm a bit of a man-child, and I am looking forward to going. I am looking forward to going on this trip, and I'm not going to let anything come between me and my enjoyment of this experience, and I'm not going to let myself and my feelings ruin it for Mariana, my wife, and I'm not going to let myself be the person who just gives in to the negativity and the trepidation and the worry and the anxiety and the panic and the paranoia. I'm not going to be that person. I'm going to be the guy who just wants to go and support his wife and have a good time. And that's going to be my experience. I'm going to actualize that. So if you have anything coming up that, you know, by all rights you should be looking forward to, you know, because, you know, heaven knows there are times when I'm like, I really don't want to do this thing that's going to happen, and Mariana looks at me and says, well, everybody has that. There's always going to be something that you don't want to do, but you have to do it sometimes. And that may not apply to a trip to Europe. Obviously, that's entirely voluntary, but there are going to be times when there are things that the world tells you should be something you're looking forward to and should be something that you're excited for and that you're going to enjoy, and you know that you won't. But that doesn't mean that you won't. Knowing something, like depression has a way of making you believe that you know something for sure, and it isn't the case. And who knows, maybe you will enjoy it. So give it a shot and look at it as a challenge. You know, even if it's something you feel in your bones that you won't like and that you'll be miserable the whole time. The worst thing that can happen is you'll be right, and it won't be because of any of the reasons depression is telling you. It won't be because you're a failure. It won't be because, you're the worst. It won't be because, because nothing ever goes right for you or because you don't deserve it. It's because sometimes you just don't enjoy stuff. Sometimes your feelings and your experiences are different from other people's. And that's all. It's not because of anything that's wrong with you inherently. It's just something that's different. Thanks for talking, and thanks for listening even. And I'll see you next time.